Ron Goodall, FightHype.com. I'm here with Kalvin Hot Sauce Henderson. What's going on, man?
What's going on, Flav? I appreciate you having me on here.
Awesome. I've always been intrigued with the hot sauce sponsorship package I saw on your Instagram, right?
Yes, sir.
You know,
Yes, sir, for sure.
how'd you even get the nickname? Just curious.
Man, I wish I had a cool story to go along with it, Ron, but it really, when I was young, I put hot sauce on everything, man. Like I'm talking about pizza, corn, mashed potatoes, steak, you named it, salad. I put it on it, but now I make it hot in the ring, man. So I put sauce on everything still.
That's I think hot sauce is a sick name. I know there's like street basketball used hot sauce, right?
Oh yeah, man, that was my guy too, man. And went basketball.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, yeah.
You know, the boxing world has been buzzing with a lot of topics, and I'll get into it. But I know that you recently are coming off a win in October, so congratulations. And
Appreciate that.
I wanted to know like what's next? Like what direction, do you want to go?
Yeah, Ron, it's the hard part, man, because I have a lot of skills, a lot of experience now, man, and I'm talented in this sport. But the boxing world, the boxing business, man, they're trying to stall me out, man. I fought on Showtime a couple times. I don't fought for a world title, so they know the talent. But I'm one of what you call a high risk, low reward. So they know I can fight. They know I got skill sets, but my name doesn't bring about a lot of clout. So they're really kind of nervous about putting me into the ring with those bigger names because they know I'll beat their ass, quite frankly. So that's where we at. But man, I'm staying ready. I'm staying busy with these local fights, so they can't say I'm inactive. So I'm staying busy because I know the phone calls in the ring. I'm gonna make sure I'm ready.
Yeah, I know throughout you had like a pretty extensive amateur career. Like you went through the whole USA amateur and
Yes, sir.
and you when you went pro, you've been fighting all around the world
Yes, sir.
extensively. And you mentioned even fought on Showtime and Showbox and
Yes,
things of that
sir.
nature. So
Hmm.
throughout this win streak, I think you're on a 4 win streak.
Yes, sir.
You're right now a light heavyweight. Is that kind of where you want to be at, or are you thinking about maybe even coming down to super middleweight for potential big names?
Yeah, for sure. So right now I'm campaigning at 175, but of course the bigger names like Caleb Plant or Berlanga or any guys like that at 168 want to squabble. I would gladly get my nutritionists together, man. We cut weight, cut back down to 68, and we make it happen, man. I love fighting. I want to
Mhm.
fight. They know I stay ready, man. I stay in the gym all the time, all year long. So really just waiting for that phone call, man. We ready.
It seemed like, prior to the Steen fight, you were doing your thing. I know that
Yes, sir.
you made obviously adjustments after the Morell fight. You're on a 4 win streak. What was the things that you've changed, from the Morell fight?
So going back to the Sting fight, in that fight, that was on Showbox main event, and we were both undefeated. I tore my rotator cuff in the third round in that fight. That's something we don't talk about a lot. But I didn't make zero excuses, and I fought the rest of the fight with literally only one arm, and still only lost by decision. Close decision to that too. So that fight, it was going our way. Man, we was excited. After the first round of that fight, I told my coach in the corner, 5 rounds top, we're not this guy out in 5 rounds. In the third round, I tore my shoulder. But that's how the sport is, man. You fight through injuries all the time. The Morell fight, we got a world title opportunity. At that time, I was ranked top 10 by the WBA in super middleweight. Went to Morell's second home in Minnesota. Nobody else wanted to fight him. I told you, man, have gun, we'll travel, man. We fight. It don't matter where it's at. You give me a call, man, we're going to pull up. We pulled up, had a great game plan. I personally and a lot of my team feel like the fight would stop early. Was the guy winning the fight? Yeah, but we had a game plan for the deeper rounds. And I was in the ring with Morell. I'm catching this guy with body shots, and I'm hearing what the body shots are doing to him, and I knew it was going to slow him down eventually. And not to believe also, too, not to mention that fight was supposed to be drug tested, and we both signed paperwork it's going to be drug tested. We get to the fight the day of in the locker room, the WBA forgets to order the drug test. So that's another thing. You fight not only fighting politics, you fight a potential dirty fighter too in Morell. But we'll talk about that a different time. But after that fight,
Oh, I
we just
got
stayed
no.
locked in.
No, I honestly, you can't because it's crazy. I just talked to Senna Becco, and he has
Okay.
literally. I mean, I guess, I guess I do have to because now it's like consistent. I literally just talked to David Benavidez, and he told me that the Morell fight, they wanted to do drug testing, and
Yeah.
essentially, I think it was they wanted to do like 14 weeks out, and they kept in his words, he says that it kept going and being delayed. He said up to the ninth week that if they weren't going to get drug tested, they were going to actually call PBC and cancel the fight.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I just talked to Senna, and he pretty much said that in his eyes, that he went to Minnesota and he had a bait and switch situation where he pretty much is claiming that in Minnesota he was waiting to get drug tested, and they came back and said that they opted out. Minnesota doesn't require drug testing, and pretty much his almost is almost mirroring. So this is in Minnesota as well.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you, yeah. So in Minnesota, we fought at the Armory in Minnesota, and at the weigh-ins the day before the fight, it was on whatever day it was. I think it was in June. On the Friday, right before we weighed in, it gave me all my paperwork, my contract, the fighter stuff we talked about in our contract, and I had a paper I vividly remember that said we both will be drug tested tomorrow before the fight at the venue. I signed it, boom, bam, seen it. I get to the venue on Saturday. I go to the locker room. I'm the co-main event. So we get in, they show the camera, we get escorted in, sit in my locker room. I go, oh man, I gotta pee. I'm going to call. I told the commissioner to call down to WBA. I'm gonna get my test out the way right now. Commissioner said, all right. They get a walkie-talkie. They're talking. They go, oh, he doesn't? I'm like, what you talking about? He said you don't have the drug test. I'm like, what? I said, no, no, no. Tell her to come up here and tell me this in my face. So the WBA commission comes up, goes, oh, we're so sorry. We forgot to order the test. So don't worry about it. I said, bull fucking shit. Now I am worried about it. I said, no, we got to get drug tested. He said, okay, well, the best we can do is order it now and be ready for you after the fight. I said, bet. All right, let's do that. After the fight, guess what? Still no drug test. Nothing.
You're kidding me. Senna said this is the same exact story, like literally verbatim. Have you guys talked or anything? Just
We have
curious.
not talked. No,
I
we have
I
not
kid you
talked, man.
not. It's the verbatim story. He said that he was supposed to get drug tested beforehand, and it was
Yeah,
instructed that he would be prior to the fight.
yeah, yes,
After the
sir.
fight, he didn't, and pretty much, wow. So this is
Yes, sir. I signed paperwork saying that, and the WA, I forgot her name. On if you watch the video, I can screenshot and circle the lady that came to my locker room and was like, "Oh, so sorry, we forgot to order the test." The WA is the oldest regular sanctioned body in boxing, and they forget to order a drug test. Come on, man, stop playing. But you in a situation as a fighter where you had the entire count, you already weighed in. It's good money too, and for a world title, they gonna put you in the corner where you can't say, "No, I'm out." You know what I mean? But David Benavidez, he in a different kind of boat. He got more clout. He can kind of shake things up a little bit. But they put you in a situation where look, you already had the long count, training count with sparring partners. You're already in Minnesota. You're gonna fight, and they know that. So they just try to pressure you to do it that way, man.
so. I guess I guess I'll have to ask in similar fashion then. With all that, I know that you're probably not putting the coat on David himself, because right, this but the situation is fishy, right? Like
Yeah,
it's obviously um do you suspect that there's something or they're doing something? Not like saying Dave like accusing, but like do you feel like something's
man, I'm
up?
telling you right now, something is definitely fish. And I know Superman only exist in comic books. You know what I mean? Like these guys got a lot of money behind them, Ron. A lot of money on things out of their control. So of course they're gonna get put in the best situation possible. And so a lot of these guys are cheating, like cheating during count. When I say cheating, like maybe taking something that makes them recover faster. So it doesn't necessarily make them stronger or faster, but it makes them recover quicker. So they're getting back into the gym doing harder reps, longer reps than everybody else. Everybody else is tired, sore, or injured from training the day before, they're feeling refreshed, ready to go. So ultimately, you get more reps. I don't. I'm sort of like this, man. This is very, very ratatouille that I'm not the only one with the exact same story when they fight David Morrell. You know what I mean? That's all I'm
I
saying.
think, to be
And
honest, I think you might be the third person, to be honest. Not the third person I spoke to, but I think there's I think Senna told me that there's I think there's a Mexican fighter that he
mm,
fought. I think he's claiming that there was a lawsuit that's out there, but Mario Cazares is a guy
mm,
that
yeah, Morrell
went
fought.
that Morell fought out in Armory, and he put out a
Hmm.
lawsuit essentially for. So you're the third person in Minneapolis is that's saying that there's something with drug testing.
Dude,
So
I'm telling you, man, this dude, first off, he was one bigger than me in the ring on fight night. But before the weigh-ins, and fighters know, before the weigh-ins, this mofo was drinking Gatorade before he stepped on the scale. Now, I'm not saying it's part of his cheating regimen, but I don't know a lot, many fighters who were drinking or eating anything before they stepped on the scale. They was that confident in cutting weight and being that big and that strong. They were drinking Gatorade before they even stepped on the scale. Something a little fishy, man. You know what I mean? Something fishy. And the fighters know that. You know what I mean? It's hard for that to put out there into the air, but fighters know that you're really fasting because you couldn't wait. You know, you couldn't water, you couldn't things out of your system trying to make this weight. So for him to be drinking Gatorade and just everything's all chill and comfortable, come on, man. Something going on.
So, I mean, I guess I think the big topic this year was I think the Devin Haney Ryan. Like I know that a lot of people have criticized Devin in a sense of like they felt that maybe some of the technical things he did could have been, the reason why he lost the fight against Ryan. But do you feel
Yeah,
otherwise that, because Ryan failed the drug test that you have to consider in Devin's case, because he's putting out the lawsuit, things like that.
yeah,
Is it valid? I mean, in the sense of like are people siding with the guy? Because you see on social media, are they siding with
yeah,
Ryan and empathizing with him more than really a person who knows, like, or suspects?
yeah.
Is it ridiculous that people side with
That,
Ryan?
that that's the hard part. The hard part is that what they found, from what I know, what they found around system was like point 0.1 or point 0.0 something of aspirin, right? I don't know how much of that provides you with performance enhancing ability, but apparently, if you take an ostrich because you're trying to cut weight, and so I don't think he cheating is cheating. Don't misunderstand me. Cheating is cheating. No matter if you take a diet pill, cheating is cheating. But to point to where he's making a lawsuit and this is why I lost, I think that's a far stretch. I think they saw an opening, a back door, and they ran through this shit. You know what I mean? But as far as Ryan Garcia, and as far as a lot of these guys, if I'm being honest, Ryan, a lot of these top guys that everybody thinks is ungodly talented or taking something or cheating on something or using something, man. So this is not by far a clean sport we're talking about. Everybody at the top is taking something they ain't spoke about yet. That's just me being honest, man. I know it's hard to burst that bubble and,
No,
and,
no,
and to put it out there.
no, no. I appreciate.
Man,
Look. The truth. This essentially the platforms for you to speak your truths and not, hide or shade things. So, I guess in my eyes is then, you mentioned, the opportunity is great, the money, is great. Obviously, big platform, Showtime, world
so,
title. It. Why didn't you just kind of say, like, or even essentially, do a lawsuit as well if it's contracted? Because, it's a consistent theme that I'm noticing now that guys are contracted to do drug testing and it finds out they opt out and
that
and
correct. And that's the hard thing about it because we as fighters, we feel like no matter what the stance or circumstances is, we still gonna win. If you're a super competitive, you can go shit, man. I'm here to fight. Man, he's cheating, but my skill set can get me out of that. Hindsight, that's why your team is there going like, yeah, you're Superman champ, but these guys motherfucker cheating too. It's been on the playing field. And so I didn't know we even had an option to take this shit to lawsuit with the whole drug test thing. Because what I usually take pictures of everything I signed. My father-in-law taught me that a long time ago. I was cutting weight and I was so drained for that weight cut that I was trying to get through everything so I can focus on not freaking passing out before I set them up scales. You know what I mean? But I usually take pictures of everything I signed. I wish I went back on my phone and see if I did it. I didn't. I wish I took a picture of the paper that I signed showing that. Even though they should have it on file with them being WA counsel, they should have it on file, but with them doing what they're doing, I'm not sure you even have that, man. But as a fighter, you're taught to push through things. You're taught that even though the world's against you, you still come out swinging. So just that mindset, just let us go through that fight. And like I said, like you said too, big payday, big opportunity. And at the end of the day, if we knock Morell out, all that shit is voided. You know what I mean? Like he
Mhm.
was cheating, did all this shit, we still knocked his ass out. So that's the mindset you have as a fighter going in is that we're gonna win no matter what.
Do you feel that because David's now fighting him like that, put in the drug test and things of that nature? You think that's going to play a factor on how, or you think just because they're now in your division. I know originally you went down to their division, but now they're up, so there's a chance maybe you even face David or maybe a Morrell rematch, right? So
For sure, for sure.
does David get through Morrell, and is that drug testing gonna probably play a factor?
I think it could play a factor. I definitely think it could. I think a lot of times, whenever you're taking and cycling on these different things for your in your body and count, you get the gains already. So when you cut it out of count, the gains are already there. Like the shell you use it for to get stronger, have more stamina, again, whatever you're using it for, they're there. You know what I mean? So him cutting it out now could potentially hurt him in the fight, but man, the gains he had, a guy from himself is already there. So I don't know. You know what I mean? But definitely. I think it's going to be a game changer. I think Benavidez is going to beat Morell just off of pure size and even stamina. And Benavidez throws hard punches for 15 rounds straight. So I think that his relentless pressure and nonstop witness, man, is going to make the difference in this fight. And then hell yeah, man, I'm definitely interested in fighting both of those guys too, man. Like I told him, I'm a fighter at the end of the day.
Mhm. You know, ultimately with them stepping in division, I know Morrell didn't really look super amazing. A lot of people criticized his last performance, and David came up and he fought Alexander. He claimed he had an injury. I mean, what's so different about when you went down to 168 and then you fighting at 175? Because you have a lot of success in the 175, and
Yes,
so is
sir.
it the natural weight? Like is it just what is it that you feel better maybe
Yeah.
here than there?
So when I fought Morell at 68, I was still at super middleweight. So I didn't have to come down necessarily, but my body was already outgrowing that weight class, which made that weight cut so difficult. And I make excuses for that fight. Weight cuts are supposed to be difficult. But at 75 now, it is a more natural weight. The guy's a little bit bigger, but they're not as skilled as the guys at 168. You know what I mean? The 168, the lower you get, especially 160, 168, these guys are super skilled, super fast, super quick. At 175, it's slowed down a bit. The power is a little bit more there, but you see the punches coming a lot more too. And so I think Morell and Benavidez feel more comfortable at 75. I don't think Benavidez's power will carry over as much as it did from 68 because at 168, he was a big motherfucker, man. Some people call him a weight bully. He was huge. But 75 is more of a natural weight class for him. So I think you'll see longer fights from Benavidez and maybe even Morell too at those weight classes because just the bigger guys.
My last question of all that is just you mentioned that you would consider going on to fight Caleb Plant or Edgar Berlanga. I know that those two guys probably have a collision course and wanting to face each other. You think those guys would give you an opportunity or a face? Because I know Caleb's been in a lot of marquee fights. Edgar just got done with Canelo. I mean, what do you
Yeah.
think you'll have to do or even the opportunity to kind of, because you mentioned, high risk, low reward in your setting,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So what do you think you would
So
need to do?
so I know before Caleb had his last fight against Trevor, he
Mhm.
was saying that he wanted a tune-up fight, somebody that what I'm saying less caliber where he can just kind of move around a little bit. I was pushing hard, Ron. I mean, I was making videos, I was calling him out, man, doing all these funny memes and shit like that. And he was looking at him, and he saw it and backpedal a little bit more. Me and Caleb fought in the amateurs already. So we already have history. We fought in the mid-size Golden Gloves, and it was a close fight. I feel like I won. He maybe feel like he won, but at that time, man, it was very competitive. And so Caleb Plant knows who I am. I know who he is. Our people know each other. That's an easy fight. Caleb says yes. Let's fight hot sauce. The fight is gonna get made. But it's a dangerous fight because these guys know I'm coming with them thunder cookies. They know that hot sauce ain't sweet. They know that. And Belanga, I actually got an offer to fight him back when he was making his reign and knocking everybody out in first rounds and shit back in 2020, I believe. When he was with Todd Rain reached out to my promoter at the time. They shot me an offer. I kind of offered. We was good to go. Next thing I hear, oh no, Blanca team want to go a different route. And that's kind of been the story of my career for a long time. These big names, they want to go a different route. When my name get mentioned up, man, into fighting. So like I said, man, these guys know who I am. Even though the mainstream media may not know who I am, the boxing world and community knows fighters and they know who to stay away from. And my name is being tossed up, passed out, and shipped out like candy, man.
Do you think you have to kind of because I know like Munguia just had a big upset loss. Like, do you feel like you have to
Shit.
be essentially like cherry picked in a certain degree, like
For
kind of
damn
put
sure.
and the cherry pick gone wrong is the
That's what
kind
it
of
is. That's exactly what it is. Where's what we staying ready and staying active. I'm using my own money to have these fights here locally around my town to try to stay active in the hopes of somebody going like, that household guy, yeah, I mean he's washed up, let's give him a chance. And the same thing, kind of like what happened to Munguia. That's what promoters don't want. That's a promoter's nightmare. They have your money built up in this fighter. They're putting money in and pushing and promoting, and they go down to Mexico, his home Tijuana, his home around his own town, and get stopped by a guy with no power. That's their worst nightmare. And so they try to stay away from things like that because of that shit could potentially happen, man. Because like, what happens after that? That do they still push Munguia after he lost Canelo and Luke get knocked out by this guy? Like, what do they do? You know what I mean? So now they're kind of wondering what's next. But with me, man, I still have some fights in me, so if they want to push me, come push me. I'm ready to go.
Do you think that if Munguia, well, I know Munguia is exercising the rematch, and I'm sure if Munguia doesn't win, right, Cazares, I believe is, he's or not Cazares, who did Munguia? I forgot his name. It's just I
He
hate
fought
to
the
be
guy from
like,
France, I think. I think it's
yeah, hold
France or
on,
something like that. Yeah.
yeah, hold on, because he did hit the scene like. I'm not gonna sit here because a lot of people like to front like, oh yeah, I knew who he was, yada yada. Like I did not know who he was. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people because like you said, it was Saras. That's what it is, Bruno Saras.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah. Bruno.
he was definitely probably top in his country, but around the world stage, people didn't really know. He was definitely brought in as like a cherry. So if he does beat
Correct.
Munguia again, everyone's going to be hunting him. So that's probably another
Of
person we
course.
probably won't
For
necessarily
damn
be able
sure.
to. But do you feel like you rather look for guys at 168 versus 175 to get that opportunity? Like as in getting that cherry pick gone wrong situation? Would you rather do
Um,
that?
I think now that we're at 75, I think that they're not going to cherry pick me even more because now I'm going to be a bigger guy cutting down.
Hmm.
I think at 75, it might be a more of a cherry pick opportunity because 175, light heavyweight, is not really big or really ran by the states right now, currently. A lot of Europeans are running 175. So I
Hmm.
think at 175 in the states is where I get my opportunity if I'm holding my breath on that. But 68, the bigger names, man, I'll make that cut. I'll kill myself and drink water and just think about food for 6 weeks to cut down 68. We make it happen.
Would you ever take a fight that's like to get you to a big fight, kind of like one of those like a guy that's up and maybe like a top 10, maybe the ninth or 10th guy who didn't really get the name yet, but they need maybe a
Yeah.
fight to get him. Would you take a fight like
So that's yes. So not to cut you off, but this past summer, the fight Canelo had in May, I forget who it was. Was it Munguia he was fighting? I
yeah.
think he was fighting Munguia. So we got a phone call to be on his undercard against a guy named William Vega at 168, who they was pushing to potentially fight Canelo here in the future. And it was one of those fights, like you just said, take this guy, he's top 10, win this, we back on the big stage. So I said, fuck it, let's go. And we got into count, and guess what? Oh, they're gonna go a different route. This is after I got a verbal agreement that they'll fight me. 2 weeks in the count. Oh yeah, they're gonna go a different route. And it's just that's the story of the game, man.
Well, we'll definitely have to put a lot of these guys in the hot seat because, obviously, these stories now, the fans are going to be wondering why that you're getting these opportunities to face these guys, but then they're now turning another way. So.
Yes, sir.